At The Ohio State University at Newark, you're more than just a number. You're a priority. From the moment you apply, we recognize you as an individual and are committed to supporting your success. Our small, intimate class sizes foster close connections with professors who offer mentorship and guidance at every step. The campus is not only beautiful and easy to navigate, but also fully equipped with residence halls, a bookstore, library, gym, cafeteria, free shuttle services, and free parking. Visit go.osu.edu/NewarkApply.
Fast solutions sound appealing, but breathing better isn't about a stopwatch. At Ohio ENT and Allergy Physicians, treatment decisions aren't rushed or limited to one approach. Every patient receives a comprehensive sinus evaluation and a plan tailored to their specific anatomy and symptoms. Some conditions can be treated in-office. Others require more advanced care. And Ohio ENT and Allergy Physicians is equipped for all of it. If you're ready for thoughtful, physician-led sinus care, schedule your appointment today at ohioentandallergy.com.
Oh, the kettle's boiled. Excellent timing. I'll just make myself a quick cuppa, take a deep breath and pretend I know exactly what I'm doing. Right, let's get started. Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning with massive anxiety and said to yourself, I'm never drinking again, only to find yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour? Do you ever wonder why everyone else can stop at 1 while you end up at a dodgy after party holding hands with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a closer look at your reliable social crutch, alcohol. On this podcast, I investigate my own deeply dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out what it's really like navigating this alcohol-drenched world, one fizzy water at a time. I'm going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up with one eyebrow missing and a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health. So what happens when you put down those cheeky pints and finally let go of those rewarding mummy wines? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone, and this is Sober Awkward. Oh, for fuck's sake. It looks like somebody's sprayed some ants in here and then just presumed that they've all died and left the carcasses for me to clean up. I'm not sure if anyone or any other mums particularly feel like this, like everything is always left to us. I'm now surrounded by the bodies of small insects, which is lovely, as you can imagine. Occasionally my kids do help out, I must say, but there is a lot of huffing and puffing going on in this house at the moment. Actually, I did ask George yesterday to wipe down some surfaces, and he used oven cleaner on the wood bench tops, and it ate away at the wood. And totally destroyed it. So yeah, I'm either cleaning up after people or cleaning up after people who have tried to clean up and then left me with more cleaning up. I was going to say it all works out in the wash, but it doesn't. I think that's why we often end up doing everything ourselves. It's just so much easier. Less shouting and less disruption to our nervous systems. See what I did there? Segue into today's topic. Go me. Now, today, we're talking about something that sounds a little bit technical, but actually explains a lot of why so many of us ended up drinking in the first place. Before I stopped drinking, if someone said to me, Vic, your nervous system is dysregulated, I would have assumed that meant I'd sat on a wasp or I was someone that was consistently on edge. I remember my nan describing people she knew with phrases like, Judith at number 25 has got the collie wobbles, or Auntie Mavis is a bundle of nerves. You sort of thought that people who had dysregulated nervous systems or were highly strung were kind of a bit weak and pathetic. I remember my granddad saying stuff like, she needs to be like the curtains and pull herself together. There wasn't much understanding or sympathy for anxiety or the nervous system back then. For me, looking back now, I'm fairly sure my nervous system spent about 25 years doing the emotional equivalent of being trapped inside a tumble dryer, swishing around and only ever feeling ironed out when I had a drink in me. In fact, I do think that is possibly why I drank in the first place. I thought alcohol was always helping me relax. You know the drill. Long day, glass of wine, social anxiety, glass of wine, existential dread about parenting, the universe and life, bottle of wine. And I felt like it worked, well, for about 20 minutes. And then something strange would happen, whereas I wouldn't be thinking, I wouldn't be using my brain, I'd be making bad decisions, and then I'd head into a blackout. And instead of feeling calmer, my brain would wake up at 3 a.m, heart racing, suddenly remembering every awkward thing I'd ever said or done in my whole life. Questioning myself, did I insult someone's dog? Why did I say that thing in the kebab shop? Should I apologise to my old headmistress, Miss Spencer, for smoking behind the bike sheds? We know now that this lovely little phenomenon is called hangxiety, which is basically your nervous system ringing you up the next morning and saying, hello, just calling to say that everything is terrible and you may never recover. And the weird thing is, when we're drinking, we think alcohol is calming us and calming that nervous system. But apparently, what we're actually doing is poking it with a stick and then walking away. So I think that might explain why so many of us who stop drinking suddenly realise we've been living in a kind of permanent state of low-level panic. A bit like a meerkat, a slightly sweaty meerkat holding a glass of wine. And that's where today's amazing guest comes in. Because today we're talking to Sarah Rusbatch, who's spent a lot of time understanding the nervous system, what alcohol does to it, and how we can actually start calming the poor thing down without needing us. Oh, bloody hell. What now? Sorry about that, lovely listeners. Day in the life of Vic. Where was I? Oh yeah, without needing a Sauvignon Blanc for emotional support. Sarah has a similar background to me. Both ex-party animals, both Brits and both living down under. Sarah is now a coach and a mentor and has helped thousands of women get and stay sober and help them understand themselves and their bodies a bit better. And I think this conversation is important, I would say that, because so many people who stop drinking say the same thing. They realise they weren't drinking because life was great. They were drinking because their nervous system was trying to cope. So before we get into all the science and helpful stuff, I wanted to start by asking Sarah what her nervous system felt like as a drinker.
It's such an interesting question because it's one that you can only really answer with hindsight, right? Because at the time I wasn't aware that I even had a nervous system, what the fuck it was, or anything about any of that, you know? And so like to get started with answering that question, it's all hindsight, it's all looking back. But what I can see is I was so dysregulated, Vic. I oscillated between, if we have a scale of 1 to 5, for your nervous system, and 3 being where you want to be, which is like safe and social, you're happy, you're connected, you're feeling calm, your bandwidth for stress is good, and everything's all right. 5 is where we're very, very up and we upregulate. So that was my go-to. I am a high stress person. When I feel triggered by anything, my nervous system automatically goes up, where I have that manic feeling. I have to do all the things. My heart's going fast. My muscles are tense. I'm agitated. I'm shallow breathing and I'm go, 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 go. And it's like, you give me something to do and I'll go and do it. And that was kind of where I lived for a really long time. But because the human body is not designed to be like that, I would then use alcohol to bring myself down. And then sometimes, having used alcohol so much and living up high for so long, my body would then suffer from these mystery viruses that no doctor could explain as to why they were happening. And that was collapse. So that was the freeze state for me, which on that scale of 1 to 5 is 1. And I basically spent my life going between a 5 and a 1, where I was go, 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 and use alcohol to switch off. And then I would be in bed for 3 or 4 days and my mates would be like, oh, bloody hell, Sarah's got one of those viruses again. She's not going to be out partying with us this weekend. And I would literally not be able to lift my head off the pillow for 3 or 4 days, absolutely buggered. And then I'd go back to living my life at a 5, using alcohol as my way to sleep and switch off. And then the mystery virus. And it was so unhealthy, Vic. I look back on that and go, wow.
Oh, do you know what? You're bringing back memories here, because I know a lot of us might call that mystery virus a hangover that seeps into the week. I remember I used to go to work on a Monday after drinking on a Friday, still feeling frazzled and mentally messed up and like I didn't know myself, still feeling shame and embarrassment, which would lead me into Thursday until I started drinking again. I just referred to the repercussions of my drinking as being hangovers, whereas in fact now, only recently I've realised that what I was doing was completely completely dysregulating my nervous system on a weekly, in fact, sometimes daily basis. I was fueling myself, pouring alcohol on all of my problems because I didn't want to feel a certain way in my body. Is that how you felt too?
Absolutely. And what I've realised through, like, I'm coming up to 7 years off the booze now, and I've done shitloads of therapy. And what I realise now is that my nervous system was dysregulated for a really long time, like from being a little girl, not because I grew up in an unsafe house physically, but there was a lot of tension in my house. There was a lot of unpredictability growing up. And you know that feeling when you just feel tense and a bit on edge and eggshells? That's how, as a young girl, I felt a lot of the time. So the work I've done has made me realize that that feeling of fear, that feeling of anxiousness, that feeling of I'm constantly having to read the room to go, is there going to be an argument that's about to happen now? Is mum going to start crying in a minute because she's so cross with what dad said? You know, like all of these little things that as a little girl, you're trying to understand to keep yourself safe. And I can see now that I was dysregulated from a really young age. I started drinking at 14. And of course, at 14, you don't go, this makes me feel calm and relaxed and it's soothing my nervous system. You don't think any of that. But what I do remember thinking was, I feel good. I feel this makes me feel good. And what I can see looking back is alcohol at a very young age made the tension in my tummy dissipate, because alcohol does that. It's a depressant to the central nervous system. And so very quickly, I created an association, which is the most dangerous association to make for grey area drinkers, which is when I feel off, when I feel stressed, when I feel sad, when I feel angry, alcohol makes me feel better. And that is a really dangerous neural pathway to create. And what keeps so many women who I work with, and I know who you will work with in your communities, stuck. Because we don't learn any other nervous system regulation techniques, because no one tells us any of this. No one teaches it at school. Our parents didn't know it. And so we have to go and discover it ourselves. And in the short term, alcohol is a bloody great solution to feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, and in need of oblivion.
Gosh, it's annoying, isn't it? Because it feels like it's always been the only answer. And I just wish we'd had better information growing up instead of suddenly going, well, this is a coming of age. That was it. You know, we're coming of age. Everybody drinks. You're 14. You know, you go out and party, you meet boys. You might feel nervous. Have a few drinks, bit of Dutch courage. Wherever we turned with any problems growing up, especially in the 90s, it was like this will sort you out. There wasn't any help. In the intro, I mentioned that my grandma used to say that somebody was ill if they had nervous system problems. It was like, oh, they're a bit mad. That lady down the street, she's got problems. It's her nerves. It's her nerves. And no one really had any empathy for the way we are feeling, particularly as women, is that we are feeling dysregulated and feeling not ourselves in our own bodies a lot of the time. And I feel that now, especially in perimenopause as well, which I'm sure we're going to hit on. But there's a sense of not understanding myself because the information wasn't out there. Can you tell me what the nervous system actually is?
So it's autonomic, which means we don't make a conscious choice as to what state of the nervous system we're going in. Our brain and body decide that for us. And your nervous system is pretty much a part of your brain that is constantly assessing for threat and danger. It's constantly asking the question, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And that doesn't mean just physically safe. It means emotionally safe. So, you know, when you meet someone that you just don't feel comfortable around and you can't put your finger on it, they haven't said anything horrible to you, but you just don't feel great in their presence, that most of the time will be your nervous system picking up on something about their nervous system that's making you feel uncomfortable. So it's like a radar that is constantly searching for threat and danger. And there are 4 known states of the nervous system outside of the regulated state, which is called ventral vagal, or what can be known as safe and social. So on that scale of 1 to 5, that's about a number 3. There's 2 states that we go into when we go up, and this is when we get flooded with adrenaline. And this is the stress response. You might have heard of fight or flight. And this will be and this is a primal response that our ancestors had to keep the human race going. So if they were hunting in the jungle and came face to face with a bear, they've got the ability to fight it or to flight, to run away. We don't get that stress response because we come face to face with bears. We get it because our kids are being dicks. Our boss has sent us 400 emails. We've turned on the news and that's a shit show. We've had too much caffeine. We're fasting and we haven't had any breakfast. We've got a million to-do things in our head. And that is what sends our nervous system, for many of us, into that fight or flight state, which is, I'm not safe. Oh my goodness. And the body... The body mobilizes in that state. Like, that's a really good word for it. You imagine if you're walking along a road at night and it's really dark, and then you suddenly hear a noise in the bushes beside you, your body will mobilize in that moment. So it's getting you ready for fight or flight. Like, your muscles will tense, your heart goes fast, your senses are super aware, you can hear well, you can see well, you're primed and you're ready to go. That's your nervous system activating in response to what it sees as fear or threat to life. And the problem in today's modern world is that we're going into that state constantly by constant little micro stressors like our phones, the news, caffeine, kids, jobs, dogs, transport, all the things that send us into that state. And many of us mobilize into fight or flight, where we're activated, we're ready to go. Now, the nervous system is designed to go into that state for about 20 minutes. You think about the ancestor that comes face to face with the bear in the jungle. He's ready to face that bear, to do what he has to do to escape it, to survive and to stay alive. And then he goes back to his tribe. Now he downregulates. He's flushed all of that adrenaline and cortisol out of his body, and he's ready to go. Some of us are living in that fight or flight state constantly, and that is chronic stress. And I would argue that a lot of women in midlife are in that place for a number of reasons. We're juggling so much. We're getting constant messages of threat and danger to our brain. Plus, we're going into a stage where our progesterone is dropping. So we don't have as much of the calming hormone that's circulating around our body. And this is where alcohol becomes a great solution in the short term, because it switches off the nervous system. And so that would be the fight or flight response. The other response that we sometimes have is we go down. So this is where you're just like, fuck it, I can't deal with this anymore. This is like the possum that plays dead to escape the predator. This is where apathy is. This is where procrastination is. This is where I can't get out of bed. I can't face the world. I don't want to see anyone. This is depression. This is chronic long-term fatigue. And many, many people oscillate between that 1 and a 5 because their nervous system is so dysregulated. And the work that I have found to be the heart of the work that has changed my life has been working on maintaining that number 3 for as much as I can. And it's learning the techniques that bring me down when I'm up and bring me up when I'm down, that don't have to involve drugs or alcohol or anything else.
I feel that in my day-to-day. It's not mental so much for me. It's a physical reaction that I have to stuff that's going on in my life. I'll give you a really quick example. It relates to your caveman story, but in a sort of modern sense, is that when I'm at home, I feel cozy. I feel cozy and warm. My family are nearby. Occasionally something might rise my nervous system a little bit and I might feel a bit anxious if the house is a mess and people are annoying me and things like that. But then this week, for example, I went to a beautiful women's connection group, like a networking thing. And I went in there thinking, isn't this going to be great? I'm going to meet loads of lovely people. But I could feel, even though I didn't want it to happen, I could feel the dysregulation happening as soon as I walked into the room. The questions, do I deserve to be here? Are these women better than me? Do I look a mess? Am I older than these women? Is my job even worthy of mentioning in front of these amazing business people? And then I start the feeling of overwhelm. And then I'm like, right, I need to retreat. And then I leave early. This is what I do a lot in very many situations, social situations. We talked a lot about this with Sober Dave last week, about when you're sober, it's like you're overly aware. So you're constantly taking yourself into that higher state, as you call it, because we're very aware and we're also very, very capable. So we probably are taking on too much on a day-to-day basis, feeling strong, feeling like, okay, I can do this, I can live, I can do amazing things now. But then we find ourselves suddenly withdrawing from our own lives because it all gets a bit much, because we don't know how to get back to that 3. And I'm so interested in this, Sarah, because I feel that a lot. Like, I am in the midst of all of that. And like, for example, this morning, I've already cleaned out the shed before talking to you today. I've done a couple of podcasts. Like, I'm crazy. If I told you what I did in one day, you'd be like, Vic, no wonder you're shocked. Like, this is a nightmare. So first of all, I think what I'm trying to say is, and what I want to ask you is, how do we recognize that our system is dysregulated?
So I think there's a brilliant book that I've read called SD Protocol. So that stands for Sympathetic Dominance Protocol. So sympathetic dominance is when we are spending more time in the sympathetic stream of the nervous system than the parasympathetic. So parasympathetic is known as rest and digest. We're calm and we're relaxed. If you are spending more time in sympathetic, which is fight or flight, where you're activated and you're mobilized, you will start to have some of these issues. So it will be things like problems sleeping, panic attacks, tightness in the neck and shoulders, gallbladder issues, thyroid issues from a hormone perspective. And there's a whole reason for that, because when we're constantly producing cortisol, we have what's called pregnenolone steal happening, which is a complex hormone disruption that then causes issues with other hormonal systems within the body. You might find that you have sensitivity to sound, sensitivity to light. You might notice that you have like shallow breathing, where you're kind of, you're not breathing in your tummy, you're breathing high up in your chest. Your muscles often feel quite tense. You might find that you're catastrophizing a lot. You immediately go to worst case scenarios.
I'm laughing, Sarah, because I'm literally like tick, 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 every single thing. Keep going.
Right. So, and I mean, there are many, many others that I could add, but they would probably be the main ones. Difficulty losing weight, storing excess weight around the tummy area, because this is where we have excess cortisol, often feeling cold, often craving sugar or alcohol. So these would be some of the signs that we are in that dysregulated place of being more in fight or flight than the body was ever intended to be in. And I just want to caveat this with saying, it is not your fault. The modern world that we live in, particularly for women, is not set up for us to have calm, regulated nervous systems. But when we start to understand the importance of this, it's actually become like, I see my nervous system work as being as important as going to the gym, my work, as the stuff I do with my kids. I now have daily, short, simple practices because, like you, I'm a super busy mum running a very busy business, but I have these moments.
You are speaking to me right now, which is why I wanted to talk to you about this today, because, we went on my retreat recently and I felt like for the first time in forever, outside of alcohol, that my system was regulated, because I didn't need to explain myself. And I just suddenly felt like I was surrounded with people that felt the same and everything felt good. And I want to feel that all the time. I want to feel good. I don't want to feel like this complete maniac. That's how I feel a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm mad and that I'm on a different level, and that I totally agree with you with the breathing. I always say to my husband, I don't sit in my breath. I'm too elevated all of the time, and I need to learn. I think some of that does mean I get a lot done in the day, but whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not so sure. My friend Anita, I spoke to her yesterday, and she has a 5-hour routine. It sounds really long, but she gets up and she has this amazing sobriety routine where she journals, she walks for a couple of hours, she looks at the trees, she does meditation, she reads something that she wants to read. She has this incredible pattern which is repeated every morning, which she absolutely loves. And when I speak to her, I say, God, I so need something like that. She's like, well, why don't you do it, Vic? I'm like, I don't know. I get up in the morning, I sit in bed and I have my coffee and I doom scroll. I read the paper because I think, well, that's what we need to do. We need to have information about what's going on in the world. And I know it makes me anxious.
Yeah.
And I do it to myself. It's like a form of self-sabotage. I sabotage my own life in this way by making it a lot more stressful. And that ripples out into my family because this morning the kids weren't getting ready, for example. And I'm like, oh, come on, we've got to go. And I can feel that I'm doing it to myself. I'm creating the dysregulation and forgetting to take a moment to lock in and go, Vic, this isn't their fault. This isn't your day that's shit. This is you feeling in your head and in fight or flight and trying to get through just by winging it. And it's not working.
It doesn't work, Vic. And but have compassion for yourself, because we can only do better when we know better. So I would say that you're trapped in a dopamine cycle, because if there was one challenge I was going to set you as a friend, woman to woman, it would be this. Let's just try and just create 5-10 minutes in the morning before you pick up the phone, before you have caffeine, where when you wake up, you do a little bit of breathing, you look out the window, you take in nature, you think about a couple of things that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
And then when you wake up, first thing you do, you get up, you brush your teeth, you put cold water on your face and you make your bed.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Yeah. I'm writing them all down, as you can see. Hamish used to always tell me this. He bought me a gratefulness diary once. And I was like, I'm going to write in there about everybody I hate. He was like, don't do that. Like, why would you do that? I said, I just feel like I need to get it off my chest. I want to write about every single thing that I hate and every person that I hate. He's like, do not do that. That is not allowed.
Yeah.
He was like, you need to practice breathing. You need to meditate and do a breathwork class. And I know all that information, but for some reason, I'm really not capable of following through with it.
But it's not that, Vic. I would say that hearing you talk about this, I would say that you are...
Vic, so do you fancy coming on a sober holiday?
Don't worry, we're not talking about some corporate wellness retreat with cucumber water and enforced eye contact.
No, this is a sober awkward retreat. 8 days of sun, sweat, laughter and absolutely no hangovers.
Yep, it's all happening in Thailand next October. Picture this: yoga at sunrise, writing workshops, ice baths, Thai boxing and lots of awkward sober dancing under the stars.
It's a proper holiday with proper weirdos, our kind of people.
Yeah. You'll meet legends who've also given the booze a boot and want to have fun without feeling like a social reject.
Come solo or grab a mate. Bring your awkward, bring your sun cream. No pressure, no judgment, just a big, warm, sober hug in paradise.
All the info is at soberawkward.com/retreats. Come and get sweaty with us, emotionally and physically, in our all-inclusive jungle resort. You'll start out as 15 strangers and leave with 15 new sober mates.
I'm not sure I want 15 new sober mates, actually, particularly sober ones.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're not invited then.
If you're struggling with chronic congestion, sinus infections, or snoring, who evaluates you first matters. At Ohio ENT and Allergy Physicians, your initial visit is with a board-certified ENT physician, not a shortcut and not a standardized script. Because real answers take real diagnostics and real experience. Ohio ENT and Allergy Physicians offers the full spectrum of sinus and snoring care, from in-office treatments to advanced surgical options when needed. Personalized care, local physicians, long-term relief. Book your appointment now at ohioentandallergy.com.
Quite dysregulated, and you can't go from being in a fight or flight response to meditating. You just can't do it. I could never do it.
I can't do it. You're right.
So what you need to do is just practice experimenting with what are the things that might work for me. And I'll give you some ideas.
Okay.
So number one,
Great.
can you So I find after I've done a podcast interview or after I've done a presentation or something, you get nervous energy, you get adrenaline from it. That is completely normal. That's what makes you great. It makes you alert. It makes you be able to think on the spot and say what you want to say. And that is good stress. But then we need to bring ourselves down. So for example, after we've talked, I want to do a great job on this podcast. I want your listeners to get a lot from it. So I will have adrenaline in my body. I will go for a walk around the block with no headphones, no music, and I will just have my eyes up. And I will just walk slowly and I will just look at nature. I will look at the trees. That will start to bring my nervous system down. Like when I'm in that state, there is no way I could meditate, but I can go for a slow walk, just being outside. That will then bring me back down. When I come back in, I'll have gone from maybe a 8 or 9 to maybe a 6. When I'm a 6, I could do a yoga nidra if I wanted to, if I felt like that. Or I might want to do some like reading. Calming for me is reading. Like that is my flow state. That is where I go. I read probably a book a week in terms of fiction. So it's finding what are the things that might work for me. It could be stretching. It could be cooking. It could be putting calming music on and having a bath. It could be doing yoga. There are lots of different things that we can try. I find flow state activities, where you kind of just lose sense of time when you're doing it. So it might be gardening, walking, crocheting, drawing, coloring, reading, cooking, singing, those types of things are really good for just getting us into flow state and regulating our nervous system. And something I have found works really well for me is jigsaw puzzles. Now, here's the thing, Vic. If you'd have told drinking Sarah that 10 years down the time, sober Sarah would love nothing more than a chamomile tea and a jigsaw puzzle, she'd have gone, fucking hell, is that what I've got to look forward to? Whereas this girl here loves a jigsaw puzzle, loves it. And it's the best thing I find to down-regulate.
I think mine would be a crossword.
Right, perfect.
Yeah, that would be what I feel really relaxed doing. It really makes me happy. I feel like I'm still using my brain. Reading would be one, but I feel like I'm so dysregulated all the time that reading feels like too much, even though I want to.
Yes.
I feel like that's just not something that I can pull myself into at the moment. But stopping and doing a crossword in a cafe and having a cup of tea or whatever, that would be my ideal day.
So I encourage you to go, and I love a word search, crossword Sudoku. Go and buy from your local newsagent 2 or 3 of those and have them in different spots around your house so that you see them. Because I do this a lot with ladies in my challenges because they often find that they're just doom scrolling so much. They replace alcohol dopamine hits with scrolling dopamine hits. So they will go and buy either word search, Sudoku, crosswords, and just have them lying around. Because when you see them, the brain goes, I remember that makes me feel calm when I do that. So that's a really good one to do. Having a jigsaw puzzle on the go, just on a table in the dining room, the family room, whatever you've got, is a great one as well, because you get a little dopamine hit. When you find a piece that fits in, you go, oh, yay. And that's like effort-based dopamine. So it's a really healthy type of dopamine. But you would get that when you get a word in a crossword and you get it right. That's a little natural effort-based dopamine hit that then means that your brain is not searching for dopamine in sugar, alcohol, scrolling, gaming, pornography, gambling, drugs, all of the other things. We want to be doing effort-based dopamine.
Okay, I love that. Many people who stop drinking, they kind of feel very overwhelmed and very sensitive because really we're feeling that dysregulation rather than numbing it out for the first time.
Totally. If you think about that first drink of alcohol, because alcohol causes a GABA effect on the brain. GABA is a calming neurotransmitter. For 20 minutes, it will shut off your central nervous system so that you start to feel more relaxed. So what that means is we need to find other things that we can do. You can't just take the alcohol out and then expect to carry on living your life because the stress isn't going anywhere. So I always say to my ladies in my challenges, the goal is not to never struggle because that is just never going to happen in the world that we live in. The goal is to struggle well. So how can I find healthy ways to look after myself through times of stress and struggle? Because they're always going to be there. you know, and that could be all ends of the spectrum. It could just be that you're at 10 out of 10 capacity in your head and you can't cope with, you know, the one tiniest little thing is going to send you over the edge. Then you scream and shout, you're pissed off, you might be impatient with the kids, and then you feel guilty afterwards, you feel remorseful because you've acted in a way that wasn't how you wanted to be. And that's why this nervous system work is so important. When I first started it, I had Post-it notes all around my computer that just said breathe. And they just reminded me, put my hand on my heart. Every time your out breath is longer than your in breath, you're sending a message to your brain, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. The other thing that works really well is smell. So essential oils. So using an oil at the same time as you're breathing, you get the two-hit wonder. So you get the smell with the breath. And this can work really well. So go and have fun experimenting with a couple of essential oils and find one that you love. There's a very well-known one in that I talk about a lot called vetiver. And they call vetiver the horse tranquilizer of essential oils. It's a bit like natural ketamine, I think. So I was like, yeah, I'm in, give it to me. And I put a couple of drops in moisturizer and rub it over the top of my chest, my neck and my shoulders and my hands before I settle down to watch like a TV show at night. And it is so calming. And I sleep so well as a result of that.
I think it's hard because when we get sober, we feel like that's the work. Like if I'm sober and I'm staying sober, I'm doing a bloody good job at life. Aren't I brilliant? I'm very smug now. I've done the one thing that I needed to do. And that's how I felt for many, many years. I'm 8 years sober yesterday. And
wow, well done. 8 years yesterday.
Yeah, on Tuesday, yeah. So yeah, it's been a really big week because I'm coming around to a lot of changes and I'm starting to understand that the work isn't all done. And I'm okay with that. I've always gone, okay, I've done the work, I've got sober and everything's fine now. And now I've got to just go get on with everything else, even though I'm feeling anxious a lot of the time. But at least I'm not having panic attacks or hangovers or leaning for the drink for everything. At least that's not happening. But what I haven't done, I've grown in many ways, don't get me wrong. I do a lot of hobbies, I socialize a bit better, I have a few more boundaries. There's definitely growth, but this is the one thing that I need to do for myself. And sobriety doesn't solve everything. It just is a part of you. And there's other parts that still need healing in many ways. And our nervous system, I think if I can get that under control, I'll probably be like, what's next? There's always work to be done. And the problem is for me, and like most women, we feel too busy to reflect on ourselves. Like the day is full already. As soon as I've dropped the kids off, I'm like, right, I've got to go to work. And then they're coming home. And then I've got to do dinner. And then I've got to try and have at least an hour of wind down time where I'll watch something shit that probably, gets me into that higher state of anxiety before I go to bed. So everything I'm doing is against my nervous system rather than for it, which is really confusing for me because it's not how I want to feel. How do you feel, Sarah, now that you've learned this work?
Oh, it's been life-changing. Like going back to what you said, Vic, I don't think we're ever done. Like I will never think of myself as the work is done. There is always work to do. There is always self-growth to happen. And I think my life would be so boring if that wasn't a part of it in some way. But what I've had to battle with most and what I feel like I'm really on top of for the first time actually is the feeling of stress and anxiety is very similar to the feeling of excitement. And what I've realized is I was probably addicted as well to that feeling of go, 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 go. Like I thrived on it. So for a long time, working on my nervous system felt really boring. So reaching a state of calm, steady, relaxed felt really boring.
And us ex-boozers hate boring.
Right?
Yeah.
The line of contentment is where we're aiming for, of just being able to stay more steady. And at first, I couldn't imagine enjoying being at the line of contentment because it felt and sounded so boring. Whereas actually what I've realized now is 70% of the time I'm at the line of contentment, 30% of the time I'm up and I'm manic a little bit and I'm excited and I'm go, go, go and I take on too much and I have adrenaline. But now what I've realized is I don't like staying there. And I recognize when I'm there, and I now know the tools to bring myself back down. And I know what my capacity is for staying there. And it's nowhere near as long as I thought it was, because that's what dips into chronic stress, and that's what dips into illness. And that's why burnout. Exactly. So that's why this work of being able to recognize, well, where am I on that scale of 1 to 5? And how can I bring myself down? And is it just going for a walk? Is it just taking a couple of breaths? Is it going and doing 3 answers to my crossword? Like just taking a couple of times, you know, you could even have a little calendar ping on your phone that goes off every 2 hours. How do I feel? What do I need? Just to check in on yourself, because we're not trained to do this. As women, we're trained to put everybody else's needs before our own, to look after everyone else, to check on everyone else. And we're at the bottom of the pile, whereas it's so important that we come back to checking in on us, because otherwise we've got nothing left to give.
Yeah, it's a matter of bad habits for me. It's a lot of bad habits all running alongside each other, which makes all of them at once difficult to tackle. Like when I wake up, I feel like there's an umbrella of things that I have to do. So it's really hard to focus on one because I've taken on too much in the first place. So it's all scattered. It's all over the place. Then I've got the kids on top of that. Then I've got the house to clean. Then I've got lifts. And it's like this whole list of things. There's no room for me. There's no room for me to take time out, I feel like. But it's all very well for me to sit on my phone for 5 minutes. I feel like, I'll just take a 5-minute break and I'll look at something stupid on the internet. And I know it makes me feel worse. And it's really hard to recognize what works because I haven't tried anything. And to even try anything feels hard. And then to understand that I need that. I need that as part of my sobriety routine. And I need to understand when I'm moving up into those spaces and those states, and to be able to bring myself down. Like you being 70% content, I would say that I'm 25% content. And I'm having 75% in that higher state, which isn't a comfortable place to be. I mean, I do get a lot of shit done. I don't want to get stuff done. What for? Like, what's the purpose in this stuff? And it's about reevaluating what's important. Where are my values? What are my priorities? What stuff actually needs to be done? And what stuff can I leave behind or take out of my day in order to spend some time doing a crossword, for example?
Exactly. And I came across something called the 7 types of rest, and it blew my mind, because I thought rest was simply like lying on the sofa, not moving your body. But it talked a lot about the need for mental and emotional rest, and how you need to have rest away from any devices. And so for me, a break from work was then going with my phone to lie on the sofa, have a cup of tea and scroll my phone. That's even more cortisol and more activation for your brain than being at your desk. And then I'd go back to work and wonder why I didn't feel in any way rested or like ready to go again. And that is because your phone is not a form of rest for your brain unless you're doing a yoga nidra. So here's my secret for you and all your listeners. Thank me later. Yogi Brian, spelt with a Y, Bryan. You will find Brian. Oh my God. So you will find him on Insight Timer, which is a free app. And Yogi Brian does these like guided meditations. I would say I probably do it 4 or 5 times a week. And they range from 7 minutes to 35 minutes. So if it's like a really special day, I will let myself have 35 minutes. If it's like there's not much time, 7 minutes. It resets my mind in a way you never could imagine.
Okay, amazing.
There's one for, I think it's 7-minute yoga nidra for anxious thinking and worrying thoughts or something like that. And it is bloody brilliant. My next hack would be get yourself an eye pillow. You can just order it off Amazon or from Kmart or something. Lie on your bed, put on your eye pillow and listen to Yogi Brian and just challenge yourself. Okay, 3 times a week, can I find 7 minutes? And then just notice, how do I feel when I do that? Because I can guarantee you will start to get more in tune with your body as a result.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're talking about this today, because it's good, this podcast sometimes. It's actually really self-indulgent. this podcast for me, because I get to invite on people who try to solve all my problems. I don't care about the listeners anymore, even though I love you listeners. It's like, okay, I've got a fucking problem this week and I need to get Sarah on to talk about this and help me through. Oh, it's so good. I'm going to do that this afternoon and I'm going to report back.
Yes.
By the end of this podcast, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do that now after we've spoken, and I'm going to come back on and I'm going to tell you how I feel.
Okay. And I'm going to hold you to that. I want you to text me after you've had your little time with Yogi Brian. In my group, we just love Yogi Brian so much that every day it's a call out. Where have you done Yogi Brian today? And someone will be like, I did Yogi Brian on the bus on the way to work. Someone's like, I did him on a plane. Someone's like, I did
Well, I want to do Yogi Brian.
Oh my God.
Yogi Brian's getting a lot of action, isn't he?
Yogi Brian. Oh my God. If only he knew that he's got like midlife women all over the world doing it left, right and centre.
Oh my God, I'm doing him too. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea for me to try that, actually, do Yogi Brian. And I think I need to do something, like action needs to be taken, because I get into such a state, Sarah, I'll be honest with you, that I want to move. And I know that sounds crazy, that I just feel like, oh my God, this is too much. The house is too messy. Everything here is too much. And I start, this is my obsession at the moment, is just looking on real estate for houses that are bigger, that I don't have to clean as much because I can hide everything in wardrobes. That's how I work, is that I'm almost running away from my own life because I feel so dysregulated, even though I love where I live. Like, it's the best place in the world. I live near the beach. The kids go to school up the road. Like, it's a perfect place. But I find I'm so uncomfortable within who I am at the moment that I'm trying to find solutions outside of my own body. And I know that the solution is inside me. And it's really hard to learn what the right thing is to do for me. It's good that I'm fucked up, Sarah. It's good content.
Oh, we're all fucked up, Vic. My God. Like, but that's a whole other podcast where I could list all the ways that I've discovered I'm even more fucked up than I ever realised. But hey, like, we're human and we're ex-pisshead party girls, right? Like, of course.
At least we're working on it.
Exactly. Yeah. I've got a couple of other resources I'm going to send you off after we've spoken, because I'm passionate now. I'm Team Vic, right? Okay, listeners, we are going to be Team Vic, and we're supporting Vic to not want to leave her house and to actually find 75% contentment and 25% chaos. That's what we're going for.
Okay, yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm in. Now, Sarah, I know that we're going to go into a little bit of a breathing exercise at the end of the podcast today. But before we do that, because we don't want to natter after that, we'll just cut off the podcast after we've had our beautiful breathing session. Can you tell us about what you do and all of your courses and all the magical, wonderful, incredible stuff that you give the world?
Yeah, look, I'm a girl's girl, and I am, like you, Vic, just on a mission to support women to know that there is another way to do life, and that I just want women to have a good experience of themselves and of their life. Because at the end of the day, we're not here for a long time on planet Earth, and let's make it the best it can be. So I run alcohol-free challenges 4 times a year just for women, where they get to come and be supported by me to take 30 days off alcohol. I have a deeper dive program, Rediscovering Me. And more recently, I've added in a program called Thrive After 40, because I'm also a menopause and menopause weight loss coach. So I support women, because a lot of the women I work with are in midlife. They remove alcohol and then they find they've swapped that for sugar. The sugar addiction gets out of control and they really want to take control of their health as they age. So that's going really well. Obviously, there's my book, Beyond Booze, a great how to create a life you love without alcohol. And I have a free Facebook community, the Women's Wellbeing Collective. If anyone wants to come in there and say hi, you can find me on Instagram at Sarah Rusbatch. But the best place to go is my website, sarahrusbatch.com, where you'll find everything that I do.
Yeah, and whenever I have meetups, everybody has always done one of your courses. Even on our retreat, there's like, yes, I've done Sarah Rusbatch's courses. It was amazing. I've given up drinking because of her. So yeah, highly recommend getting stuck into Sarah's work because she's bloody amazing. Also, Sarah has her April Alcohol Reset Challenge coming up on the 13th of April, which is next week. So jump onto her website and take a look at that. She's bloody amazing. Now, I know you want to have a little breath work. Sarah, what do you want to do with me?
Oh, many things I think that I could do with you, Fate, because after what you've described, I think it's going to take more than a 2-minute breathwork session, but we'll give it a go, right? But I would say that breathwork is one of the best things that I personally have found to be really, really helpful in my own nervous system regulation. So we're going to just go through a very simple exercise that I do quite regularly, 3 or 4 times a day, that really helps me.
Okay, I'm excited. All right, listeners, get ready. If you're in the car or if you're out for a walk, pull over or sit down. Don't do it while you're driving. And let's have a little bit of a breathing session. Thank you, Sarah, so much for coming on. I'm excited to do this. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's time to have a moment of dysregulation. No, what do we have? We're having a moment of what?
Having a moment of regulation.
Well, that's probably where my first problem lies. Let's have a moment of regulation, not dysregulation.
Okay. Put your hand on your chest or on your tummy and just close down your eyes. Clear your breath. And I want you to just breathe in through your nose for the count of 4. Just hold it at the top for 2 and then slowly breathe out for 6. Do it one more time. And now just do it again whilst noticing your feet on the ground. Noticing where your bottom might be sitting on a chair, where your back might be leaning against the back of a chair. Notice the difference between air that's on your skin, where you don't have clothing over it, and any parts of your body that have clothing that might feel a little bit warmer. Notice if you have any tension anywhere in your body that you could just relax, even 2% more than where you are right now. For me, it's always my left shoulder. And when I actually focus on it, I feel it drop about 3 inches. And then just do one more breath slowly in, as slow as you can. And then slowly out. Now, when you open your eyes, I don't want you to look at the screen. I invite you to just look around your room, really slowly turning your head from side to side. And notice if you can find anything green in your room. Or outside if there's a window near you. And just notice. And then when you're ready, come back to the screen and tell me how you feel.
Yeah, I feel better. Yeah. I mean, it's quite simple. It's like I don't feel like I put the time in for that into my day. And it's such a short thing to do.
I just would like for the listeners to just notice, can you notice how Vic's voice is now just a bit lower?
Yeah.
A bit slower?
Yeah.
She sounds calmer.
Yeah.
And now there's just a slowness to your tone of voice.
Oh, wow. I absolutely loved that with Sarah. It's yesterday. I recorded that now. I'm coming on to give you an update because I just wanted to tell everybody that I was feeling really anxious yesterday. And sometimes I do feel like my nervous system needs some help. You're not going to believe what I've done in 24 hours. It's quite incredible. So Sarah told me to download that app, which I've done. I have listened to Brian I've had 7 minutes of bliss listening to that and felt 1,000 times better afterwards. I have also just taken the time to walk to the beach with my husband and have a dip in the ocean. And I didn't take my phone with me, and I didn't look at my phone this morning until the kids were at school, when I decided at 9 o'clock I was going to start work. So I'm taking some steps, and I just thought, wow, what a brilliant message to end the podcast on, is that it's not big things sometimes that we need to change. It's really tiny things, really doable things. I think I was imagining that I was going to have to start going to meditation and yoga and doing all these things that I would have found really difficult to fit into my life. But actually I did exactly what she said, and I started with a few really tiny changes. And today, the day after speaking to her, I feel like my shoulders have come down from right next to my ears, and I'm feeling a little less hyper, which is a really lovely feeling. So yeah, I'm so appreciative of Sarah giving us, and me, as well as you lot, such amazing advice yesterday, and I'm really taking it on board, and I hope you guys too. If you do make any of these little changes, please email me and tell me about them, because I find it absolutely amazing that we can change so quickly sometimes. It's almost like we get stuck in a place we think, I'm never going to change, this is who I am. But, you know, I guess life is about a bit of evolution occasionally. Ooh, Vic's sounding a bit cheesy and woo-woo. Don't worry, I haven't gone to the other side quite yet. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're questioning your relationship with booze, struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support. Talk to a mate, book in with your GP, go to an AA meeting, or find an online support group. I've got one. Just head to cuppa.community. For more resources, head to soberawkward.com, where you'll find details of our amazing Thailand sober holidays, the 30-day sobriety guide, books, blogs, writing courses, and loads more. I know this sobriety thingamajig can feel uncomfortable at first, but there is help out there. Find your community, connect, and start to feel the awkward and do it anyway. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, please rate it, review it, and share it with your mates. Because honestly, my mates are bored of hearing about it.
If you're struggling with chronic congestion, sinus infections, or snoring, who evaluates you first matters. At Ohio ENT and Allergy Physicians, your initial visit is with a board-certified ENT physician, not a shortcut and not a standardized script. Because real answers take real diagnostics and real experience. Ohio ENT and Allergy Physicians offers the full spectrum of sinus and snoring care, from in-office treatments to advanced surgical options when needed. Personalized care, local physicians, long-term relief. Book your appointment now at ohioentandallergy.com.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, it's Christy.
And I'm Kelly.
You might remember us as the OG partners in crime from Dance Moms.
Well, this is Back to the Bar, the podcast where we drag out every insane, chaotic, and iconic moment from the show.
We're spilling the tea, calling out all the BS, and sharing stuff you definitely didn't see on TV.
New episodes drop every week, and yes, we're laughing through the trauma.
For once. Follow, grab a drink, and join us as we go back to the bar.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
good. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Yeah, go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it. Yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Buy another one.
Yeah.